Candace Amber Owens was born on April 29, 1989, in the city of Stamford, Connecticut. She came into the world far from the lights of television studios and political stages, surrounded instead by the ordinary rhythms of an African-American family that worked hard, argued loudly, and prayed quietly. Her early childhood was shaped by a mixture of hardship and discipline. Her parents separated when she was young, and she and her siblings were largely raised by her grandparents, whose Southern and Caribbean roots brought old traditions, strict values, and endless stories about survival in America. From her grandfather, she learned about dignity, responsibility, and the expectation that no one would save you except yourself. From her grandmother, she learned resilience and faith. And from the world around her, she learned that identity, race, class, family, belief could shape your life long before you understood it. As a teenager, Candace was sharp-tongued, confident, and fascinated by language. She loved to write, she loved to speak, and she loved to test boundaries. But when she was 17, her life veered into darkness. She became the target of racist death threats left on her voicemail by a group of boys at her high school, including the son of a prominent local politician. The messages were vicious, personal, and filled with racial hatred. Her family filed a lawsuit against the school system and won, but the victory left a deep scar. It was her first collision with the power structures she would later dedicate her life to challenging or attacking. After high school, she went to the University of Rhode Island to study journalism. The idea seemed perfect. A young woman who loved words becoming a professional storyteller. But financial issues and personal uncertainties pushed her out before completing her degree. She left without a diploma, but with a sense that whatever path she would follow, it wouldn't be conventional. She moved to New York City, entering a world of ambition and spectacle. She interned at Vogue, walked the halls of corporate Manhattan, and eventually became an executive assistant and later a vice president at a private equity firm. On paper, she was thriving, a young black woman climbing through elite offices, navigating the financial world with confidence and charm. But underneath the surface, something was brewing, a growing suspicion that institutions were built on narratives, and narratives could be manipulated. In her mid-20s, she created a project called Social Autopsy, designed to unmask anonymous online harassers by connecting their digital profiles to their real identities. She thought she was creating a tool for accountability. Instead, she found herself condemned by activists across the political spectrum who accused the site of being a doxing machine that could destroy innocent lives. Support disappeared, crowdfunding collapsed, and the project died publicly. But the backlash became a catalyst. When she was attacked online, the people who defended her were not the progressive allies she expected, but a loose collection of anti-political correctness activists, free speech crusaders, and internet contrarians. What happened next was not slow. It was immediate, explosive, and transformative. Candace Owens crossed the political mirror. She aligned with the right, not quietly, not casually, but completely. She launched a YouTube channel with a provocative name, Red Pill Black. The message was simple and shocking. She argued that Black Americans had been manipulated for decades, that victimhood was a political trap, that the Democratic Party exploited pain for power. She attacked mainstream narratives, rejected identity politics, and used her background, the threats she experienced, the institutional failures she endured, as evidence that her awakening was real. Conservative audiences embraced her. Liberal audiences condemned her. And Candace Owens stepped into the spotlight with full intention of never leaving it. Her rise was meteoric. She joined Turning Point USA as communications director and became one of the most visible young voices in the conservative movement. On college campuses, she debated students with a mixture of humor and aggression. On Twitter, she clashed with activists, celebrities, and politicians. She defended Donald Trump loudly and relentlessly, calling him a symbol of freedom and rebellion. And she created the Blexit movement to encourage black voters to abandon the Democratic Party. Her boldness made her a sensation, but also a target. Every statement she made created either admiration or outrage. She became a symbol, the black conservative woman who challenged cultural expectations and paid no attention to the backlash. In December 2018, her life took another dramatic turn when she met George Farmer, a British businessman from a wealthy conservative family. Their connection was immediate. George came from aristocratic circles, with a background in Oxford debating societies and political organizing. The two married in 2019 at the Trump Winery in Virginia, a symbolic intersection of politics, power, and personal destiny. Within a short time, she became a mother, welcoming children in 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2025. Motherhood softened her image publicly, but hardened her rhetoric. She began framing political issues as threats to her children's future, giving her commentary a personal moral edge. Her spiritual identity deepened alongside her political one. Candace had always referenced Christianity in broad terms, but after her marriage, she moved steadily toward traditionalist faith. Ultimately, she converted to Catholicism, embracing a more structured and ancient form of Christianity. She spoke about morality, family, virtue, and the spiritual battle over culture. In her worldview, the political fight was not just ideological, it was theological. Her career continued to expand. She hosted her own show, produced documentaries, built her own media brand, and relocated to Tennessee to escape the chaos of Washington. Her style became part preacher, part provocateur, but with influence came firestorms. She questioned COVID-19 narratives, criticized vaccine mandates, and accused political leaders of using fear to gain power. She made controversial remarks about nationalism and Hitler in 2019, remarks she later clarified, but which critics still hold against her. She attacked feminism, modern gender ideology, immigration policy, and global institutions with increasing intensity. But her boldest break came during the Israel-Gaza conflict. In late 2023 and early 2024, she began speaking passionately about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, criticizing Israel's military actions and America's unconditional support. This was unusual in mainstream conservative circles, where support for Israel had been almost unquestioned for decades. Her commentary sparked intense backlash from fellow conservatives, leading to public fights with other commentators, and eventually to the collapse of her contract with a major media company in early 2024. Instead of retreating, she went fully independent. She built her own platform, expanded her YouTube presence, and spoke with even more audacity. She defended controversial figures, questioned legal outcomes in high-profile trials, attacked Hollywood power structures, and waged verbal war against elites she believed were corrupting society. Lawsuits followed, including a high-profile defamation case filed by the French president and First Lady after she promoted claims about Brigitte Macron's gender. She framed the legal attacks against her as proof she was speaking forbidden truths. Her influence became global, even polarizing enough that some countries, like Australia, refused her entry, citing public safety concerns due to her rhetoric. She fought the decision, lost, and used the defeat as yet another symbol of censorship and ideological crackdowns. By 2025, Candace Owens had become a figure larger than politics. She was a brand, a movement, a lightning rod. Your view of her usually said more about you than about her. Supporters saw her as fearless, brilliant, spiritually grounded, and willing to lose everything for truth. Critics saw her as reckless, misleading, dangerously influential, and willing to distort reality for attention and money. But beneath the commentary, beneath the war of narratives, beneath the persona of the firebrand, lies the real story. A young girl who faced racist threats, built herself from nothing, entered elite spaces, was betrayed by the system she trusted, reinvented herself, embraced faith, built a family, and transformed her wounds into weapons. Her life is a study in how trauma becomes ideology, how charisma becomes influence, and how a single individual can shape or shatter the conversations of an entire nation. Candace Owens is not finished. She is still writing her story in real time, one confrontation at a time, one headline at a time, one controversy at a time. She stands at the intersection of politics, religion, race, and culture, a place few can survive for long. But she is not trying to survive quietly. She is fighting loudly, relentlessly, and with the conviction that history rewards those who refuse to be ignored. Whether history will call her a hero, a villain, a visionary, or a provocateur remains unknown. But one thing is certain: Candace Owens has forced millions to pay attention. Her life, her voice, her transformation, from a wounded teenager in Stamford to one of the most polarizing and powerful culture warriors of the 21st century, is a reminder of how unpredictably a single life can reshape the world around it. And her story, still unfolding, continues to challenge, provoke, and divide, ensuring that the name Candace Owens will endure long after the battles she fights today are history. By the way, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Also, write us in the comments what you think about Candace Owens. We'd love to hear your thoughts.